for being here tonight. We are excited to have you here as we officially kick off the North River Manatee County Initiative with this keynote presentation by our special guest, Rich Harwood. I am Wendy Deming. I am with the Bishop Parker Foundation, and we are, again, so grateful to have you here tonight. Bishop Parker Foundation, for those of you who aren't familiar with us, we're a private foundation based entirely in Manatee County. All of our funding goes to Manatee County. And we were founded by the bishops, Ned and Patty Bishop, who moved to Bradenton in 1914 and made their home here and their lives here, and their adopted daughter, Mary Parker. They contributed their wealth to a foundation that will exist in perpetuity for the benefit of Manatee County. So we are fortunate enough to be stewards of those funds and get to work with nonprofits and other organizations working to improve the lives of those who reside in Manatee County. So we started working earlier this year in parish because one of our board members, who you all might be familiar with, Bob Blaylock, was asking, what are we doing in parish? What are we doing in parish? And I said, I don't know yet, let me figure that out. So we convened a group of individuals who were working in parish and listened to what their needs were and found out that there was a community center that had been promised for many years that had never been built. And there were needs for child care centers and maybe some adult programming. We realized that we could not solve all the world's problems in a 1-hour meeting, so we agreed to meet again and did so. We invited more people because we also realized we did not have all the voices that we needed around the table at the time. So at the same time, around the same time earlier this year, I was invited to attend a funders forum where that was sponsored by the Patterson Foundation, and Rich Harwood was the speaker there for 2 days. And I learned so much about the Harwood method and the Institute and what real community-led change could look like and the difference it could make. And on the last day of that forum, I had a conversation with Deborah Jacobs from the Patterson Foundation, and she whispered in my ear that if Bishop Parker Foundation would be boots on the ground, the Patterson Foundation would generously support this effort. And they have, and we are. So this is a tremendous investment that the Patterson Foundation is making in Manatee County, and we are so grateful for their trust in us to lead it. So thank you, Deborah. So when I knew that we could partner with the Harwood Institute on leading some more change in the community, our board realized that it wasn't just about parish anymore. We needed to expand it. And we looked at geography and realized that the growth in parish has impacted its surrounding communities as well. Ellenton has been impacted, Palmetto has been impacted, so it really became the North River Manatee County Initiative. From Terracea, Rabonia, Palmetto, Memphis, all the way over to Duet, Parish. So there are a lot of communities that are involved. We look forward to hearing from the residents of those communities, their hopes and dreams for what they envision their community could be. And it's all the start of a long process. It's not easy to make big transformational change. We are going to do it one small step at a time. And we are starting this week, and we could not be more excited. So with that, I am going to turn it over to our partner, Sherry Corrier, who works with the Patterson Foundation and has led their incredible work in DeSoto County. So she can talk a little bit about that and then also a little bit more about the process in detail.
Thank you, Wendy. How exciting to see all of you here this evening, and especially to kick off this wonderful project and collaboration between the Patterson Foundation and the Bishop Parker Foundation. You're hearing a little bit about what's going to happen, and as Wendy stated, The Patterson Foundation is really designed, our approach is to strengthen people, organizations, and communities, and foster wide participation over quality of life issues. So the way that sounds makes it sound so good for what you all are thinking about what matters to you in your community, how you're moving through the community, meeting new people. And this area is really kind of near and dear to my heart. I've lived out here in the parish area for about 38 years, and I've never really been able to work in this area. So when our president and CEO of the Patterson Foundation, Deborah Jacobs, said, I think we're going to do this project, a lot of us got excited at the Patterson Foundation because we have a strong group of folks that live in the area. So we want you to know that as we partner with the Bishop Parker Foundation, we have a vested interest in knowing some of the things that are already going on here in all different aspects. So from way back, I'm not a fourth or fifth generation person, like we're going to be talking to a lot of those folks as well, but we are really excited to be here. We have had a relationship with the Harwood Institute, the Patterson Foundation has, for over 4 decades. And we joke about that, but it really isn't a joke. We joke that Rich was just 12 years old when he started working with us, but I think the cat's out of the bag. I don't think they're going to believe that. But the relationship has really grown, especially through the Aspirations to Action initiative of the Patterson Foundation. And let me just say that at any given time with the Patterson Foundation, there's around 20 different initiatives that are actively working within a 4-county region: Sarasota, Manatee, Charlotte, and DeSoto County. So one of the things, as Wendy mentioned, I've been working with the Patterson Foundation and our team on is in DeSoto County. In July of 24, we undertook a project that will be very similar to what you're going to experience. We're about 18 months into that project, working in community. We started off with events like this to introduce the Harwood Institute to the community, and you're going to hear the word community a lot for the next 3 years, because that's what this is about. It's not just about leaders, it's not just about elected officials, it's not just about education, it's about the community altogether and everyone that lives in every nook and cranny of all those spaces that Wendy was speaking about. One of our jobs to help is to make the invisible visible, to get folks that have maybe had things to say over the years, maybe they've said them to you, and you've said, well, why don't you share that? And they say, oh, nothing ever happens. Nobody ever listens to me. Well, this process is about voices from the community and hearing what everyone has to say, and then trying to uplift those, bringing those forward, find actionable items that people can work together on and make things happen. And I can vouch for the fact that we're seeing things happen in DeSoto County. This is a real project. It can really happen. And we even have students now from the school system in DeSoto County that are a part of planning their future. They're a part of sharing their aspirations. So as you can see, I get pretty excited about that. But you're not here to hear me. You're here to meet Rich Harwood, the author of The New Civic Path and the founder and CEO of the Harwood Institute for Public Innovation. So Rich has been doing this, as I said, for nearly 4 decades. He's been devoted his career to revitalizing the nation's hardest hit communities, transforming the world's largest organizations, and reconnecting institutions like school districts and newsrooms to society. He's been recruited to solve some of the most difficult problems of our time. For example, in Newtown, Connecticut, after the massacre at Sandy Hook Elementary School, Rich led the process for the community to collectively decide the fate of the school building. So just think about how difficult that was. However, the Harwood Institute came in and helped that community. His innovative turning outward practice by which communities can tackle shared problems, create a culture of shared responsibility, and deepen civic faith has spread to, get ready, all 50 states and 40 countries worldwide. And he's right here. He's going to be right here. This project is right here where you live. The Harwood School makes this time-tested, high-impact approach accessible to everyone, everywhere. Rich is also working deeply with iconic communities nationwide to prove Americans have the will and ability to come together amid our real divides and build communities that work for all of us. He's an inspiring and sought-after speaker. Rich regularly keynotes major conferences and events. He has appeared in numerous national media outlets such as NPR, the PBS NewsHour, CNN, MSNBC, The Washington Post, The New York Times, and The Wall Street Journal. Did I miss any? And he's the best-selling author of 9 books, including his 2025 manifesto, the one that we have here later that you will hear more about, The New Civic Path, Restoring Our Belief in One Another and Our Nation. Now, Rich is crisscrossing the country on his campaign for the New Civic Path to reveal a practical and more hopeful way to transform our communities and our country. So I'd like you to help me welcome Rich Harwood.
Thanks so much. I thought that was going to turn into a roast. So, Sherry, thanks so much. Sherry is an amazing partner in all this work, and I really just want to share my gratitude with her here before all of you. And to Wendy and the Bishop Parker Foundation, what a gift that Manatee County has a foundation who's focused here, who cares about this county, who's taking the risk to undertake this initiative. And so how about a round of applause for Bishop Parker? And for Deborah, my good friend, we haven't been partners for 40 years, but we have been since 2008, and I was 12 years old then. It's not that funny. So we've been partners since 2008. And again, I think Deborah's work and the Patterson's Foundation's work here in Manatee, in Sarasota County, in Charlotte County, in DeSoto County is not only important for this part of Florida, but I can tell you, because I see this every day, Deborah's a leader nationwide in philanthropy and in rethinking what philanthropy means to communities. So I'm so grateful for our partnership. So we're here together for a few minutes, and I hope it's okay. We live in serious times, and I'd like to talk about serious matters for a few minutes. Is that okay? I've been crisscrossing the country, as Sherry said, really for the last year and a half now. In 2024, I was on a campaign called Enough Time to Build. We expressly ran it during the presidential race because we wanted to offer a civic alternative to our politics in this country. There was such a hunger for that. We doubled down on that. I wrote this book while I was on that campaign, sort of in the wee hours of the morning and late at night. And we launched the campaign for the New Civic Path. I went to places as diverse and divergent as Matt Gaetz's congressional district in Pensacola. I went to Lauren Boebert's district in Fort Collins, Colorado. I went to Jim Jordan's congressional district in Ohio, the co-founder of the Freedom Caucus, where we're now doing work. I went to Selma, Alabama. I went to Flint, Michigan. I went to Northern California, where there are militia and where we're now doing work. And I'm saying all this because no matter where I went and no matter with whom I spoke, and no matter who they planned to vote for in the 2024 presidential race, no matter who they ultimately voted for, no matter who they support today, I heard the same thing from each and every individual consistently. I heard that we Americans are exhausted by our politics. We are tired, we are worn out, we are scared, we are worn down by the chaos and uncertainty that we are living through. Do you agree with that? I also heard people across the political spectrum and from all demographic groups say that we can do better and that we can be better. That we can do better and be better as individuals. That we can do better and be better in our communities, like right here in North River. And that we can do better and be better as Americans, not as Republicans and Democrats and independents, but as Americans. And what they told me over and over again, and what I've seen taking place over the last 40 years as I've been tracking this work, is that we are now in a crisis of belief in this country. I mentioned this just this morning for some of you who were there. We no longer believe in our leaders in this country. We no longer believe in our institutions. Many of us don't believe in many of our civic organizations. I'm a person of faith. Many of us no longer believe in our faith institutions anymore. Thanksgiving is coming up, right? How many of you are worried about the conversations that are going to happen around the dinner table over Thanksgiving with relatives and family and friends? How many of you are worried about how those conversations are going? I'm having people from 5 states come to my house. I'm thankful that you've invited me to your Thanksgiving. We face a crisis of belief, and yet think about it. Think about it. In a time when we are so divided, we all want the same thing as human beings. As human beings. We all want a sense of belonging. We all want to feel part of something larger than ourselves. We all want a sense of acceptance and validation in our lives. We all want to be seen and heard, right? We all, each of us, no matter our station in life, no matter where we live, no matter how much money we have, no matter the color of our skin or our ethnicity or the native language we speak or the country we might have come from, we all want our individual dignity upheld and honored, not as something that we earn, but as a God-given birthright, as a God-given birthright. And yet we give lip service to that in this country. Way too often we give lip service to that in this country. When I travel across this country of ours, what I hear, and I wonder if you agree with this, is that we have had enough of divisive politics in this country. Do you agree with that? We want a more hopeful path forward, a more inclusive path, a more equitable path forward. Do you agree with that? What I hear Americans say is that we are hungry to move forward together, not so divided, but together. And the question is, how do we do that? The question is, how do we do that? Now, I'm real excited to be here in this community because I believe the change that we need is not going to start in Washington, D.C. I think that's pretty evident this week, right? I don't think the change we need in many of our communities is going to start in Tallahassee. I don't think it's going to start in most of our state capitals. In fact, my reading on state capitals is the culture wars are hotter in state capitals than they are in our nation's capital right now. The change we need in this country is going to begin in our local communities, where we can actually see and hear one another, where we can come together and work on things together, where we can build together, where we can uphold each other's dignity, where we can restore our sense of belief while we face this crisis of belief that we can actually come together and get things done. And so the reason why I am so excited to be here tonight, here in North River, and it is true, I am on the road almost every day of the week. This week started on Sunday. I go home for a couple of days, and then I'm back in Philadelphia for next week. And then I keep going. But I'm excited to be here today, tonight, because I believe that this work that we're about to embark on together with the leadership of Bishop Parker and the Patterson Foundation, it can help lift up this community and strengthen this community moving forward. But I'm excited to be here for another reason also. The Institute is only working in a handful of communities this deeply all across the country. DeSoto County is one of them. Reading, Pennsylvania is another. Just a handful. Selma, Alabama is another. North River is one of those. And I'm excited because I believe I'm placing a bet on North River that this community can be a demonstration to the rest of the nation about how we can come together and move forward not as Republicans or Democrats or independents or disaffected voters, but as Americans. And I believe today more than ever at the time that I've been doing this work, we need positive examples of communities from different places across our country that can show us we still have the will, the wherewithal, the know-how, the wisdom, and the desire to come together and get things done. I believe North River can be one of those communities for this country. Still with me? You sure you're still with me? We can go back to the roast. Now look, not everything's so great in North River, right? There's some real challenges. There's a lack of cohesion, is what people keep telling me. You've got new folks moving in at an incredibly rapid rate. And the question is, how is it that we forge any kind of common ground between folks who are pouring into this region and folks who have been here for decades, if not generations? You have seniors who feel isolated and need something to do and someone to walk beside them. You have kids who need something to do after school and there are limited opportunities for them. There are disparities and inequities around health care in North River. You have people who feel as though as growth occurs, they're going to be left out and left behind as some communities grow and other communities stagnate, maybe even decline, right? The question here is, how can we move forward and how can we do it together as a community? How can we do it together as a community? And here's how we're going to do it. First, I want to make a pledge to you. We're going to build on the good that already exists here because there is so much good that already is here. You have new schools coming online and a new hospital, right? Florida State College is building a new campus here. You have good parks and good public libraries. You have an incredible outdoors of beauty here. You have folks here who are moving here because they love this area and want to live here and want to be here. There are so many assets here to build on that I want to say to you tonight that one way in which we move forward is not to start all over again at square one, but it's to recognize and lift up the good things that are already happening and building on them and making sure that we're honoring, acknowledging them, and using them as building blocks moving forward. The ways in which we're going to do that is twofold. First, between now and the spring, we're going to be interviewing leaders in this community, 32 leaders across North River, and we're going to be holding conversations in every part of this region with residents, not nonprofit leaders like us, or hospital leaders, or business leaders, but ordinary residents who live here. We're going to be holding 16 of these conversations, and we're going to find out what people feel like it's like to live here, what their lived experiences are, what their aspirations are, what matters to them in their daily lives, what challenges they face. And we're going to gauge the civic culture, the health of the civic culture of this community, not to issue a report card, because I don't believe in community report cards. Anyone do those here? Just to be clear, I do not believe in community report cards. But because we want to know, the only way to know how you can move forward is to know where you're starting from. And so we want a good sense of where we are and the good things we can build on, the things that we need to strengthen so that we can move forward. And then we're going to issue this report in the spring of next year and convene small groups to talk about it. And we're going to ask them only 2 questions, no PowerPoint presentations. I know you like those PowerPoints, but no PowerPoint presentations. Just 2 questions. What do you make of what we learned from the community? And what do you think we need to do to move forward? And out of that, we're going to form 3 teams of folks who are going to train in our approach, this turning outward approach that Sherry mentioned. And think of these 3 teams as enzymes who are going to catalyze action in 3 specific areas that will emerge out of this work that we're doing together. And in that, here's what we're going to be looking for. We want to make sure that we're doing two things. One is that we're always addressing what matters to people in the community. I don't need to tell you how many times community change has been imposed on communities from the outside without understanding what really matters to people and the context of the community itself. So we're going to focus on what really matters to people. The second thing is every action we take is going to be geared towards strengthening the civic culture of this community. You know, we know how to get together, right, and talk. The question is, can we come together and work together in fundamentally new ways that strengthen our ability to get things done together and catalyze change? Each of these teams, you know, community change often starts with these grand plans and grand schemes that often start with great fanfare and then fizzle out. Have you seen those efforts here? We've all seen those, right? And what Americans tell me is that they're frustrated by those. They create cynicism, and they make people not believe anymore that change is possible. So in this work, we're going to take the exact opposite approach. We're not going to start big, and we're not going to start with comprehensive plans. These three teams are going to start by taking small actions, and those actions are going to serve as catalysts. And then we're going to grow a chain reaction of actions that grow, take root, and grow and spread over time. And the reason why is this. When a crisis of belief has a grip on us, will we believe if we declared all of a sudden that we've transformed and changed everything in a year? Would you believe that if I told you that? No. None of us would believe it. The reason why we want to start small is because we want to demonstrate that we have the ability to come together and produce things together. We want to demonstrate that it's possible that we can work together in new ways. And in doing that, we want to create proof to people that this is happening. We can't simply tell people that change is happening. I just went to a lecture the other day which told me that you should just believe and have hope. And hope and belief does not come because we implore people to have it. It comes because we see that things are changing. And it's possible for us to come together and produce a different result than we produced in the past, and that we can come together and work together in new ways and not be so divided. And so through this work, we're going to continue to create many proof points all along the way as this chain reaction gets unleashed. And as we do that, we're going to build momentum, ever-expanding momentum. So instead of this effort starting with great fanfare and fizzling out, like a downward-sloping curve, we're going to create an upward-sloping curve with increasing momentum, ever-expanding civic confidence, and more people joining this effort over time. This can be done. It has been done in communities all across the country. And now for North River, we're going to come together and get it done as well. You still with me here? Great. Now let me just level with you. I didn't want to speak for too long tonight, so I just want to level with you before I close. This isn't going to happen quick. There is no quick fix here. There is no magic wand here. We've got to do work together. There is no easy route here. There are lots of things that are resisting change. There are lots of people who aren't ready to come out and engage with us. And so we're going to need to keep reaching out to people and keep inviting them into the work. Talk alone is not going to get us, bless you, talk alone is not going to get us where we need to go. There are too many people in our country who believe we simply have to hold more forums and all our challenges are going to go away. I'm here to tell you it's not true. Talk, yes, we need to talk together. Yes, we need to figure out what we hold in common. Yes, we need to figure out what we can agree on so we can get moving. But we've got to build together. We've got to be producers and creators and innovators and doers and builders again to move this country forward. There is no magic answer here. We're going to have to create it together. And there is no knight on a white horse that's going to ride into town and give us the answer here. The answer lies within us and among us. And we have to have the courage and humility to tap into that and to exercise it. So let me just close with this. I believe At a time when we are divided, we are meant to go together. We are meant to go together. I don't believe human beings are meant to be isolated from one another. And yet, we face an epidemic of loneliness in this country at a time when we are more connected to each other than ever before in human civilization. Think about it. The internet and social media has allowed us to be more connected to each other and with each other than at any other time in human civilization, and yet we face an epidemic of loneliness. The work that needs to be done here in North River, the work that I believe needs to be done here in Florida, the work that needs to be done in America, none of us can do it alone. We can't go it on our own. None of us can succeed on our own. We can't go it on our own. We need each other. We are meant to go together. In order to do this work moving forward, we're going to need to remind ourselves that we need to go together. We're going to need to remind ourselves that we need each other. We don't have to like each other to do this work. We don't. We don't. We just need to be able to work together to get some stuff done so that we can demonstrate that we still have the ability to come together and produce things together and restore our sense of belief in ourselves and in one another and in this country. And I believe that North River, right here, can be a leader not only in this region, but in our country. Thanks so much for coming out.
So I'm Deborah Jacobs, and I am disappointed in myself that I arrived just at the start time, because what I usually like to do is to go around the room and kind of look people in the eye so I can see who is in the room. So I am the one who has failed you tonight because I didn't get a chance to come and say hello to you. So I'm going to try and make it up through my remarks so that you can know how much actually we do care. So Sherry talked about at the Patterson Foundation, we have initiatives, and we have 20 different initiatives that are going on at any one time. And we're all about strengthening individuals, organizations, and communities around shared quality of life aspirations. And that's a whole bunch of words, but what it means is that we love to work with others. And we never arrive with the answer. It's one of our credos. We arrive with questions. And we always say, who else cares and what's possible? All right, we believe that every human has assets and gifts, and sometimes those assets and gifts are locked within ourselves, and we like to create opportunities to let people share all their goodness. Now, I am going to tell you that you've got something that is kind of one of our traditions. You all have a little cookie, all right? And I want you to think about this cookie as if your body is a cookie jar, all right? You as a human, you are a cookie jar. And inside your cookie jar, there's a whole bunch of cookies. There's experiences, there's beliefs, there's talents, there's values. And if you leave the lid on your cookie jar, what happens to your cookies? Thank you very much. Norma, could you say that a little louder? What happens to them?
They go stale.
They get stale. So we like to take the lid off of our cookie jars and share our cookies with you, and hope you'll share your cookies with us, because everybody has got incredible assets, and when we come together, it's the who else cares and what's possible, coming from we can create whatever future we want. And the opportunity that we have by working with the Bishop Parker Foundation is just to unlock, what does everybody in Parrish, DeWitt, Palmetto, what does everybody want? And how can we work together to figure out how to make that happen? We have a saying at the Patterson Foundation on the wall that says, be the architect of the future or the tenant of the result of no action. So we we can let the world happen, or we can create it. So I hope as you think about, why am I here tonight? And what's Wendy want me to do? All right, I want you to think just in the world of possibilities. Rich said this is going to take a long time. He's not coming, he has no, he might act like he has answers, but those are his answers. You have your own answers, and you'll figure them out, and we'll figure out how to weave an incredible tapestry in the community that you have all chosen to live in. So let's make it as absolutely special as we can. Through what he does bring is a time-tested process. So some of us who are very impatient want to go, why aren't we moving faster? He said, because we can't. We have to wait until people are ready and want to do the change that they want to make happen. Now, so you have a whole bunch of different ways to participate in this, okay? They're going to invite you to community conversations. They're going to invite you to roundtable discussions. There's going to be forums where you can learn. You can go deep into becoming a catalytic guide yourself if you wanted to be. But in the meantime, while this is happening in North River, I've got one more thing that you could at least consider so you can understand what this stuff is all about. So at your table, we have Rich's latest book, and it's called The New Civic Path. And the Patterson Foundation has, for the last, I don't know how many months, 6 months, 4 months, 3 months, however many. How many in this room have participated in a book circle so far? Oh my God, it's a happy day. Okay, so, all right. Those who raise their hand, okay, now how am I gonna do this? All right, could you raise your hand again if you've participated in, I won't call on you. I won't call. Just raise your hand so we can see who has participated in a book circle, all right? Now, put your hand down if it was stupid. Oh my gosh, look at this. All right, so thank you for being a good advertisement. All right, so what the heck is a book circle? All right, this is the book. You can already tell it's not that big, all right? A book circle comes together 3 times. Each session, an hour and a half, is that correct? Okay, so 90 minutes, 3 times. You have a facilitator who helps you talk about different issues, and we have learned how the magic of these book circles work. The first book circle, everyone's like, I don't know the people in this room, I am not talking to them about what I really think. So the first one is all this, my husband made me do this, or my neighbor made, so it's kind of this skeptical thing in the first one. Maybe some of you went at a different pace. But you have homework between the first and the second and the third, where you have to go and try some of the methods that came out of the book circle. And then the second one, I have heard, is high energy, because people experimented with the different techniques. And so everybody's now sharing how it worked, how it didn't work, how it didn't work. And by the third, it's a love fest. Okay, because you've been with people you might not have. It actually works better when you do it with people you don't know. So I would like you to encourage you to, if you're going to do a book circle, just sign up and see where the time works out and make new friends. And I think you will enjoy it. And I'll give you one more reason why you might want to do it. First of all, the book circle gets to pick its name. So how much more fun is it for you to think about what we would like to call ourselves? That alone is an exercise. But then, if the book circle sticks together for those 3 times, every book circle gets a $300 Pay It Forward award to award to a nonprofit and the giving partner of your choice. So that alone is a community consensus building, as everyone has to decide which of the 700 organizations in the giving partner you're going to give one $300 check to. So there's all kinds of elements in there that help us build relationships and trust with each other, and it really does restore our faith of humans really are good people. And there are ways we can do things together. We don't have to solve the whole world, but we can, one of the words we love to use at the Patterson Foundation is smallify. Let's make it something we can do, that we can say, look at this, we did this. So you don't need to take on the whole world each time, but smallify it and have some fun. And I really hope that you will build your own future. The future's coming. So are we going to be part of it and be the architect of our future? I hope you'll lean into it and do it. So I actually will turn it back over to Wendy unless I was supposed to do anything else. You think so? Does anybody have any questions for me? Does anybody have a question? Yes, sir? Okay. Oh, how does Sherry, right over here, Sherry's going, oh, we have a whole team. Yes. Who's our book circle experts? Okay, over there. They will, you sign up and you pick what ones you want. Some are in person, some are virtual, some are hybrid. So, yes, please do. And it's an easy read. Oh, that's the other thing I'm supposed to say. We have a book for anyone here tonight, and Rich will sign it for you afterwards, so you can get into a little conversation with Rich if you'd like to. And you can get a book and not do a book circle. But I have to, oh, that's the other thing. I'm going to fair warning. Norma, tell me if I'm correct on this, okay? All right. Some people do a book circle thinking the answers are in the book, okay? That the book is going to tell us what to do to create a better society. Okay, let me manage your expectations immediately. It does not do that. Is that correct, Lorraine? It is correct. And it makes you're in charge. So it's a wonderful way to just think about, remember, who else cares and what's possible. Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. Okay, before you all leave and have your book signed by Rich, we wanted to give you an opportunity to ask any questions that you might have. Sherry and I are up here, and Rich, of course, is happy to take any questions that you might have. Yes?
I'm not in North River. I'm not in North River, but how do I help?
That's a great question. Yeah. So let us know your contact information. My colleague Amber Lamerson is the initiative coordinator. She's back in the room. If you give her your contact information, you might regret someday how much we contact you. But thank you. We appreciate that. And the goal with the initiative is to have North River, Manatee County serve as that example to where the change does start impacting communities south of the river. They're going to see some real differences and want to follow that same path. Yes.
I would like to know how many people in this room are born and raised in Manatee County or in Parish? My husband is one too, Miss Norma.
Any questions for Rich? A quiet group. Yes.
I guess it's more for Sherry. I'm curious if you can share, is DeSoto County at the point where they've chosen their 3 things? And what are they?
Yeah, there are actually 4 that they've picked: housing, health, faith, and youth. So there are 4 teams working on each of those areas, and they have spent the last 9 months engaging people in all parts of DeSoto County, which is not the easiest thing to do. It's very rural, as you know. And they have a very deep understanding in each of these areas what really matters to people and where they can begin to start to take action. We just held a 2-day lab. We have 2 labs that we do, one when we get started, one 9 months later. We just did the second one, which is called Unleashing Impact, and teaches people how to unleash this chain reaction and grow it over time. So they're poised now. Some of the teams have already started to take actions, but they've all identified actions and they're all starting to move forward. So they're in a really, really good spot. And as Sherry mentioned, we had youth join us. So we've been engaging youth in these conversations, but we had 3 youth come and join us for the lab as well, which is also a really good sign. And as part of this lab, we had 12, so you could have come to the DeSoto lab. We had 12, we started the labs with 50 people because we don't need, all we need are 50 people to get this thing moving, and then it grows over time. In the second lab, we had 12 new people, which is really great. In Reading, Pennsylvania, which has been going much longer, which was 10 years ago declared the poorest community in America, and in 3 years they created systemic transformational change on education during the height of the culture wars on education, which you all remember here, right? They have so many people joining, we can't incorporate them fast enough, right? So that's what we hope for. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah.
How did North River Manatee County get on your radar to begin with?
Well, first, we were already working in DeSoto. And as we said, it's not 4 decades, but since 2008, I don't know how long that is, was that 17 years? We've been partners with the Patterson Foundation. We've done work in Manatee County before. And then when Wendy came to, we have this thing called the Harwood Circle of Catalytic Funders, of all local funders who fund the Institute from across the country. When we had our gathering here in Sarasota with the support of the Patterson Foundation, Wendy was there and this came together. But you might still be asking, why did you decide to work in North River, right? Because we get calls every day. And so we wanted to work here because it's both fast growing and you have communities that have been also, you have people and communities that are well established here. And that's a dynamic that's happening in a lot of parts of the country. And the question is, how do we do that? Second, when you have an influx of a lot of people, the question is, how do you actually develop cohesiveness, particularly when a lot of the new folks who are moving in work elsewhere. So they may not be as deeply rooted as people who have lived here for a long time. So now you have a different challenge. That's also happening in a lot of communities across America. As you have new people coming in, your demographics are changing as well. And so the question is, I said before, we're meant to go together. And for us, community means everyone, not just some of us. All means all. So as your demographics are shifting and evolving and changing, how does one make sure there's room for everyone? How does one make sure there's room for everyone? The last part, there are other parts, but another part that I'm particularly interested in is many of the civic institutions that we have that have helped us over the last 50 years or 100 years have atrophied. Many of them have become narrower and narrower in their focus, and in some cases weaponized their agendas. I know you've experienced some of that in this region around education, right? So it's not about bringing people together, it's about winning at all costs. So they're mimicking politics. They're mimicking politics. Many of the networks that we had in communities, particularly because there's been so much influx of new people, many of those networks are no longer as inclusive as they once were. In fact, oftentimes they become exclusive. So the question is, moving forward as a country, how do we build the next generation or the next wave of civic organizations and civic capacities that can take us into the future, that don't replicate the past, because the past is gone. We face a different future now. So how do we create the civic institutions and civic capabilities and leaders and networks and norms that can take us, as Deborah was saying, into the future, where we're all co-producers in that future. So that was another reason for wanting to work here. Is that? Yeah. Other questions? Yeah.
Civic and lay leaders being involved, and the current state of politics in the country, how are our local government officials going to be involved or not?
Yeah. Wherever we work, it varies. And so we will always be, so for instance, there are folks from Manatee government here tonight, right? Raise your hands. And this isn't your first For two of you, this isn't your first event since I've been here, and I've been here since Sunday. So, so we want, to the extent that government, elected leaders, and folks who work in government want to come to the table and ready to come to the table, we will always welcome them, much like we will welcome anyone. What I can tell you is in many places, elected leaders and government folks often come later when they see the train leaving the station, and they realize that there's a different way of doing work in the community, and that we're not going to mimic what's going on that's pulling people down. And there are lots of government employees, like the ones here tonight, and there are many elected leaders who want to do business differently. I know that. You know that. They do. The question is, can they find the spaces to do that work differently, and can they find allies and partners to do it with? And so this work is going to create those spaces. This work will help them find those allies, and this work will help them find a way to work together. And in places like Jim Jordan's congressional district in Ohio, the health department is one of our key partners in moving this work forward. We have mayors involved. We have city council people involved. And so they've joined the effort, and we're moving forward together. So, other questions?
You just mentioned that you have leaders in every aspect of our being, but how do you break the wall down? How do you
Between people?
between people and between elected officials?
Yeah.
I'm fighting a battle right now, so that's why.
The one-on-one session is, doesn't start till 8 p.m. Well, first, I think there are two things we have to do. I mean, this is oversimplified, but two basic things we need to do. One is we need to break down more walls between and among people. And we've got to change the frame of reference of the conversation. This is all stuff I cut out of my talk, so I didn't want to go long tonight. We've got to change the frame of reference from being about politics to being about what matters to people. And we've got to change the frame of reference from talking about problems to talking about our shared aspirations, because when we talk about problems, people just complain and want to know why things haven't been fixed and who's responsible and who they can blame. When we talk about our shared aspirations, we realize what matters to us, and we also realize that we share certain things in common amid our differences, and that we can actually work on those things. That's the basis for moving forward. That is how we're going to catalyze this work. That's what's happening in DeSoto now, and it's working. I asked people in DeSoto, just a quick parenthetical, but it's important to what you're asking. I asked people in DeSoto the other day, what have you created here together? They said, we moved from being fragmented and siloed and hunkered down and worried about our own interests and not paying attention to one another and not working together, to realizing that we're in it together. We need to work together. We need to have hard conversations together. We need to build together. And only through that, we're going to create hope together. That's pretty remarkable in 9 months. So that's step one. Step two, remember I talked about creating proof? Step two is we got to keep creating proof, and then we have to keep lifting it up and sending signals to people that something different is happening. And those signals will also go to elected leaders. And what I can tell you is there will be elected leaders who will not be interested in receiving those signals. What we're looking for are the elected leaders who are. And we'll know that because they're going to start to engage with us. They're going to start to ask questions. They're going to start showing up at things, and we're going to start working with them. And that's how we're going to start to move the process. There's no magic answer. I'm sorry, Nora. There's no, as you know, there's no magic answer.
I guess what I'm thinking of is you're talking about cities, and Manatee County has so many little communities. It's a little harder.
Most places where we're working are exactly like that. And as you know better than I do here, but what I can tell you in every other place that we're working, particularly areas that have been rural over time, is that people identify more with their hamlet, with their little village, with the street they're on, with their volunteer fire department, than they do with some larger part of the county, and certainly the county itself. Here's the thing, so this goes back to actually a different part of a question. I'll just say this really quickly. In working in places where people are deeply tied to their particular area, their sense of place, and that sense of place is smaller. One of the reasons why people in rural areas are so angry about what's going on in the country is that because they believe folks from the coast and from big cities are coming in and saying, you have to do it our way, right? You all know that, right? And that's not a figment of our imagination, it's true. And when we start to do this work in counties like this, in places like this, there are people, new people maybe who moved in, people who lived in other areas, who say, the only way we're going to work together is if you change, Norma. Right? If you change, Diane. So basically what we do is we go around and say to all the people in small towns, you have to give up your identity in order to work with us. And what we're going to teach people how to do is we're not going to ask people to give up their identity. We're going to celebrate their identity. We're going to ask them to transcend it. Hold on to it, and at the same time, let's work together. And let's figure out what we can agree on, and let's work on that. And let's not spend all our time arguing what we don't agree on. We're not going to get anywhere. And that's how we're going to build belief and confidence and hope. And there's still, at the end of the day, going to be some disagreements. And we're just going to have to live with them, right? You know that. So, any last questions?
Will urban planning be a part of this community development?
Urban planning meaning what?
North River. What do we want North River to be?
So part of this work that we're going to do will uncover what people's aspirations are for themselves, their communities, and for the larger region, and that's what we'll work with, and we're going to build from that point forward. If you're asking, will there be a comprehensive plan for North River? No. That may come later. But in this work, what we want to do, as Deborah said, is we're going to start small. We're going to create proof. We're going to demonstrate that we can work together differently without asking people to give up their identities and calling each other names. Because, as you know well, no comprehensive plan or large plan is going to work under the current conditions when there's so much mistrust, when we're arguing with each other over everything, when so many people have retreated from public life and other people are coming out swinging. We've got to change the conditions in order to move forward. And what I can tell you in Reading, in Mobile, Alabama, in other places we've worked all across the country is if we start small and grow these efforts, eventually they grow to something much larger where we have more capabilities to do larger things. And that's what we're hoping will happen. So thanks so much for being here.
We're going to take a group photo.